Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with a Caitlyn updated complete guide, of course, for our latest patch. So of course, as usual, before we really get into any of the nitty gritty, don't forget to check out Caitlyn's basic guide. I'll put up in the cards above for her skills, 11 order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But with that said, now let's jump straight into the content. So with Caitlyn, I like this build. I've actually gone through it at the last part of the previous patch, but I think going for a collector Caitlyn is now the way to go. Let's see what the top players are building, not the influencers. Top players, we have Bloodthirster, we have on hit, and we have collector. So that's basically all three of Caitlyn's viable builds, right? You have collector, you have Bloodthirster, and you have on hit. So yeah, those are all three of our viable builds. The other two builds I'm going to be covering in videos, in other videos, in time to come. But this is what I think is Caitlyn's best build. So it's usually you start off with the Gladness Greaves for the early AD and the Omnivamp, and then you go for Collector first item. Now, Collector now actually becomes a pretty strong first item because it gives you the same amount of AD as Bloodthirster, but instead of giving you the physical Vamp and the shield, and instead it gives you the 10 armor penetration. Now, of course, you also get the Death and Texas passive, which I don't really think is very helpful on Caitlyn in particular, but you do get the armor pen. So the armor pen, of course, gives you more damage than physical Vamp or a shield, which doesn't actually give you any damage. So it's just really good to boost up Caitlyn's early game and help you snowball. Right. Of course, Blaster is going to be your next item. Long range attack, big burst damage, and a little bit of extra wave clear. And of course, you get a pretty decent stat line as well. Standard, IE into Mole Reminder for the extra damage as well as the Grievous Wounds and the Armor Pen. And finally, you want to go for a defensive item such as Maw if there's a lot of magic damage. Otherwise, things like GA works as well. If you want to go for even more full-on damage, you could even go for Relentless Hurricane or the Soul Transfer. And if you want Bloodthirster for the defensive capabilities, you can even go for that. So for the runes, literally the standard ADC loadout, nothing special here. And with the spells, I like to go for Flash and Ghost if I can afford to take Ghost. Otherwise, of course, if you need something like Cleanse, then you do want to go for Cleanse. Now, I would say that I rarely go for Barrier and Exhaust on Caitlyn because if I don't need to take Cleanse, I'm normally taking Ghost. But with all that said, now let's look at the gameplay. Okay, so onto the gameplay we go. As usual, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, you guys know I'll be sure to address them or drop a like. Okay, so this is, of course, going to be a short one. As you guys can see from the length of the video, this is not going to be a gameplay that's too long. But I do think that with this gameplay, you can see how you can use Caitlyn's early game power to snowball the game and how Collector can come in very, very handy. Of course, there will be more Caitlyn content in the future. So here you can see we're trading early game, but we're standing in the bush. Now, this is actually very huge, right? Because when you stand in the bush, your passive charges at twice the speed compared to normal, which is what a lot of people don't actually realize if you don't read like the passive text or if you are not an experienced Caitlyn player. So you can see that me and Braum are still relatively healthy, but we've bullied Zyra to a very low HP, and Zaya as well. Both Zaya and Zyra, very similar names, but unfortunately Braum kind of walks up and takes a lot of poke from the two of them, which is not very ideal. I think we were winning the trade hardcore there, up to the point where Braum decided to step up and take extra damage for no reason. Now that's one of the weaknesses of Braum, where some Brahms just like to step up for no reason and just take damage, which doesn't really make sense. He gets rooted, he's now in trouble, he pops the summoner heal and flashes away. And this leaves me in a very awkward situation where I now basically don't quite have a support. Now I have my headshot ready, I'm trying to headshot someone who's not a minion, but unfortunately the minion's gonna die, so I had to headshot to secure CS. Braum now still really low. However, both Zaya and Zyra are both low as well, so they cannot really overcommit to this kill. And I'm constantly landing the Qs on them as well as just auto-attacking them in general, so they are definitely not in a very healthy state. Now I wouldn't be surprised if they actually recalled here. It appears that they have done so. So here we are actually able to rotate up to help out our Nidalee, who is running into a Mastery. Now Victor is also rotating, so Mastery about to find himself in a 1v4. Now I make sure the auto to minimally get the assist. Nidalee picks up the kill. Ahri now runs in to help Mastery, but comes in a little bit too late. So she's now getting run down as well. Zyra goes to mid lane to help. Ahri barely escapes, up to the point where Nidalee dives the tower and finishes the kill onto Ahri. Now, I need to get that window to reset, so I quickly complete my reset, and now I can redeploy on the map to run back to bot lane. Because if I follow them and this shenanigans happens, Zaya just gets to push in the wave for free, gets tower plates for free, and that is very not ideal. So she has actually kept the wave here and actually frozen the wave here, but unfortunately you can't really freeze against an opponent who is stronger than you, so if I really wanted to, I can just shove the wave in, which is what I'm trying to do here, but she actually is now shoving the wave herself. So now it's very awkward where there's now these two minions here. I don't want to tank these minions forever because the next wave is still decently far away. So I'm going to let them crash into the tower and the wave should reset in the middle of the lane with the next wave coming in from both sides. So she's actually gotten level 5 because she's gotten the solo XP, whereas I missed out on some minions because of my delayed reset. Darius somehow picks up a triple kill out of nowhere, and now we're back to laning against the Xayah and Zyra. Here we get a nice Q onto them. Here Nidalee comes in for the gank. Nice knock up there from Braum ulti. Braum picks up the kill onto Zyra. Xayah herself not taking a ton of damage, still has ult. Nidalee hops in, kills her before she can ult, and Braum is able to tank the tower to allow Nidalee to survive. So overall, very nicely played by my Nidalee. I end up escaping the situation with 3 assists. 2 assists from this one, of course, and 1 from just now on the kill on Master Yi. So no kills quite yet, but we're still doing good in terms of gold. Of course, not as much as Darius or Nidalee, who have gotten a bunch of kills, obviously. Braum now getting chased down a little bit by Zyra, getting chased down by Master Yi as well. Going for the stun on the Master Yi. Master Yi gets stunned, gets a lot of damage taken, and we're actually able to kill Master Yi. Now we get the stun onto Zyra, and Xayah now has the stun on her. We almost managed to stun her under tower, but very nicely played by her. I'm going to flash forward to get the kill onto the Zyra, but we can't do it. We actually now get the kill onto Xayah, and then we ult for the kill onto Zyra, who's now under the tower at 1 HP. So, unfortunately there we couldn't get the stun onto Xayah under tower because she did pop the ulti to go untargetable, but if we had, she would have pretty much died pretty easily. So very, very nice ulti there from the Xayah. Huge fight from both sides. Although we do come out on top. So now going from 0-0-3 to now 3-0-0. Basically getting a random like triple kill kind of out of nowhere. Now we have a lot of gold and we're now starting to snowball. And with Caitlyn, when you start to snowball, if you can get that snowball rolling, it's going to be insane. Where you can obviously just continuously get more items and just take over the game, especially with your long range. A Fed Caitlyn is very hard to deal with because even with like assassins and such, you really need to get right on top of her, because if you get into her sphere of influence where she's able to auto attack you and you can't quite reach her, you can just get kited out by her, and that is just torture. Right, so here we pick up the collector. Of course, we want to get the collector stacking as soon as we can, assuming we can actually get more kills. And just looking at the kill score, it's 12-1. So only Braum has died once to the enemy team, and my team is just rolling them over. We have a 5k gold lead at this point, which is really huge. A 5k gold lead in 5 minutes is really, really big. Zyra, they're spawning more plans. Xayah pulls back unsuccessfully, which means she's vulnerable for a little bit. We get a couple of autos off on her. And Nidalee comes in for another gank. Both of them pop the ultis just to basically just to prevent themselves from getting killed by Nidalee coming in off the gank. So if nothing else, Nidalee did help us get out both of their ultimates, which are key cooldowns. So we now have a lot more threat onto them. Now here starting to lay the traps under the tower. We hit the Q onto the Xayah, so she does take a little bit of poke. Now Dragon's up, so we're just heading over to help our team with Dragon. Zyra spawns a plant that's tickling me, so I'm just going to walk away from it. We set a trap in the middle there just so that they can't walk through easily. We secure the Dragon without too much issue. Nidalee now rotating to the Herald. I'm rotating back to the lane to push the wave in, secure my farm. And Braum now here with me as well. We're just blasting the tower here, putting down the traps, making sure we don't get rooted by the Xayah. Xayah is able to clear minions, but we are able to get about 600 damage onto the tower. So repeat this process a couple more waves, which should be fine. Now Master Yi is actually here in the bot side, as is Zyra, so we don't want to overextend and force the tower. Master Yi though rotating to mid lane where the Herald has been placed, so that relieves a lot of pressure off of us, and we can maybe now get something done if we want to. Removing Zyra's bone plating. Braum, in my opinion, gets baited to putting up the shield. Now, the shield on Braum is a very, very key cooldown. You don't want to be wasting it before the real fight. Like, you only really want to use it when there's a huge fight happening. ulti also wasted by him. But just look at the poke that I'm doing, right? Like my Braum is basically kind of trolling me, and in the meanwhile, I'm just landing autos and landing Qs on them. Maybe landing autos is a little bit weird thing to say. Landing Qs and autoing them, because you don't have to even aim your autos, right? Like, yeah. Anyways, they're taking a ton of poke under the tower. They're both half HP under the tower, by the way, and that's just from me bullying them under tower, right? The Caitlyn range is just insane. Ulti comes in from Zyra, knocks out the minions outside tower range. Minions finally go in. We're able to finally pick up that tower, and this frees us up to rotate to other areas of the map if need be. And now we base, pick up the blaster components. We're really close to getting blaster, so we just need just that little bit more gold from somewhere, anywhere, just to pick up the blaster. So here I see Xayah is actually going to the top lane, and I'm just going to match her, make sure she doesn't get top tower for free or anything like that. No one is actually defending the top lane. So here I'm just going to pick up the wave that would have died to the tower anyways. And supposedly she might be somewhere around here. I'm just face checking the bush. It's actually Volibear that's around here. So Volibear I have not yet encountered. He's 0 and 5, so I'm thinking this Volibear is not going to be a problem, right? So here I'm just hitting him from range. Now he goes all in on me, and I'm taking a ton of damage. I'm flashing away and ghosting away from that man. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this 0 and 5 Volibear is killing me. So I guess it's just the huge problem with being a squishy ADC, right? You could be fed yourself, which I kind of am, and you could be against someone who's not fed, but if they can gap close onto you, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So that's what I found myself in. I had to bot both my summoner spells to ensure that I don't die to Volibear. I mean, that would be embarrassing to die to an 0 and 5 Volibear, right? I'm like 2k plus gold up on him, but that not like that matters. Like here, I'm going to go back to the bot lane, pick up the farm. And honestly, when you're winning, you don't necessarily have to always keep on picking fights and stuff. You can just clear minions and, you know, wait for objectives and things like that, because the enemy team is kind of the one that's forced to deal with you, because you're the one that's winning, so you don't necessarily have to do anything. Now here my C's caught in a bit of a 1v3. Xayah's kind of poking me while this is happening, so I'm just walking closer to my team so that you know, Xayah doesn't get those free autos. So here Xayah's running towards us, and Braum is now here, so she's now caught between the rock and a hard place, pops the ulti, pulls back the feathers, and now it's Ahri that's caught, gets stunned, and I'm just gonna ult her from downtown and just pick up the kill. I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't even have sums, but I'm not gonna bother walking over there when my ult can secure the kill, putting me at 4-0 and 4. And here now we have 3 of us to take the mid lane tower. We have 2 people defending top lane, so we should be able to get this mid lane one for free. Warding in that bush right as the Square's Bloom was popped. It's a little bit unfortunate. Just look at the damage I'm doing to Volibear when I'm poking him, right? Like we're doing insane poke damage on the Volibear. But of course, if he reaches us, that's a different story. Now here Xayah just gets murdered. I'm just focusing on the tower, because when we aggro this guy, you know, tower is going to be a problem. So I get rid of the tower first. Darius picks up a double onto Mastery. Now Ahri's the one that's in trouble. Darius going for the triple. I think he gets it. And here Volibear on top of me once again. I realize I'm in a bit of trouble. I kite towards my team, and now I run into, unfortunately, I run into the Zyra. But somehow, some way, I'm actually able to actually walk around the entire situation and allow my team to kind of help me. And now I'm just running away from that situation. I don't want anything more to do with it. I'm just gonna go get the fruit. Darius and Braum in a spot of bother here. Fortunately, I'm able to get the last kill right as the enemy team actually surrenders. And yeah, that's basically going to be it. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.